We are just one day away from the first Commanders preseason game against the Cleveland Browns. And heading into that game, I got 4 winners and 4 losers to break down from Commanders training camp heading into this first matchup. But before I get into my list today, I do want to let you guys know that we already put out a winners and losers video earlier in this training camp. So Sam Howell, Chase Young, those guys will not be on this list because they made the last list. Want to have some fresh meat on today's show, so make sure you go ahead and get to the comments and description to find the link to that video. And if you miss that video, never miss another video, okay? Do not miss another video on this channel. Again, if you want to get every single bit of Commanders news and rumors that we put up for free here on the channel, go ahead and click that subscribe button for me right now. And now let's get into my winners today. I've got 4 of them to share with you guys before the Commanders play the Browns on Friday Night Football tomorrow in the preseason. Starting with the cornerback, Benjamin St-Juste, who has really done a good job at solidifying himself as a potential starter for the Washington Commanders on defense this year after an up-and-down 2022 campaign. Of course, dealt with some injuries as well. Didn't have an interception last year, but he did have 42 tackles. Played a little bit in the slot last year towards the end of the 2022 season. Showed some good things, and right now he is listed as a starter for Friday's matchup against the Browns. You see the depth chart right there. Kendall Fuller is listed as the number 1 corner. Then you got Benjamin St-Juste, and then the first-round rookie Emmanuel Forbes is right after him there. So it seems like Juste is doing everything that he can possibly do to solidify himself as a potential starter on this defense. And Ron Rivera says he's playing with a ton of confidence right now, which is exactly what you want to hear from a guy like Benjamin, who really does need to have a good year this year to solidify himself as a starter in this league. Then we get to my second winner here, and I'm a big fan. I've always been a big fan of wide receiver Dyami Brown coming out of the University of North Carolina. Of course, when he was coming out, he had Sam Howell throwing him the football the final season he was there with the Tar Heels, and that connection was a big reason why Sam Howell was seen as a top 5 potential pick in the NFL draft before, of course, he had that infamous slide. But Dyami Brown is somebody that gets open down the field at a very high rate, and apparently in training camp right now, he's doing a fantastic job of doing just that. And it's looking like Ron Rivera and new offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy are planning on using a lot of spread formations with 4 wide receivers, and that 4th wide receiver is going to be Dyami Brown. Right now, you got 3 quote-unquote starters for the Commanders right now. You got Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, one of the most dynamic wide receiver duos in the league, in my opinion. You got a really nice gadget player there in Curtis Samuel, and I think Dyami Brown could be that true over-the-top deep threat that this team really could use, in my opinion. You got Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, great route runners, those two, great body control. Overall, really, really good receivers there. If you got Dyami Brown taking the top off the defense, I think Terry and Jahan will only be better. I'm a big fan of Dyami Brown. Let me know how you're feeling about the third-year wide receiver out of the University of North Carolina. But let me know how many touchdowns you think he's going to get. Is he going to get over or under 4.5 touchdowns for 2023? Give me an O if you think over, or give me a U if you think under. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. So whenever YouTube throws you an ad break here, do me a favor. Get down there in the comments section and answer today's pinned question. Then another winner that I have for the Commanders so far in training camp is another corner here, Rachad Wildgoose. I really like Wildgoose's game. Showed some decent things last year, but wasn't by any means like a fantastic corner for the Washington Commanders last year. But he did play a little bit, had 3 pass breakups and 16 tackles. And he's got some skills, man. He had a little bit of a rocky start to training camp. There's a lot of other guys, Danny Johnson, some of these other players that are going to be backups for the Commanders this year look to be doing better than Wildgoose. But over the last couple of weeks, Rachad has looked really, really good. And right now on the depth chart, he's listed as the 5th corner on this roster, which is really, really good for him. And I think it really shows that he has a really good shot at making the final 53-man roster this year. And I really am pulling for him. And then you got wide receiver Dax Milne here. And for me, I think that Dax has always been super talented. He was one of the reasons why Zach Wilson ended up going number 2 overall to the New York Jets, is because this guy was always getting open, making tough catches for Wilson there at BYU, and he's always had that talent. And I think that now, he's coming into this season. He's expected to be the first team punt returner heading into the first preseason game. I'm really excited to see how he does on special teams this year. And right now he is above guys like Marcus Kemp, who we'll talk about in a little bit here when it comes to the wide receiver depth chart. And it certainly seems like Milne is going to be on the 53-man roster this year. Now, coming up, I'm going to be going over my list of losers from Commanders training camp. I got 4 of them to break down for you in just a second. But first, check out our friends at BetUS and use our link, chatsports.com/bet, and use promo code CHAT125 to get a 125% deposit bonus to use on your bets. Now, what does that mean? So pretty much if you put in a deposit of $100 to $600, they're going to give you 125% of your money back to you to use on your bet. So if you put in $100, you get $125 additional dollars, so $225 total to use on your bets. And why not use that money on this week's preseason game? Guys, it's preseason. You got to have a little bit of fun with it. Why not bet on the Commanders game this weekend? So right now the Browns are the favorite right now at minus 1.5, so 1.5 point favorites right now. And then also the total over-under is at 38 right now. And pretty much because it's preseason, that's the standard for preseason games. Most games around the league are 38 points for the over-under right now. So I would probably, I think I'm probably going to go over for that one, in my opinion. I think this is going to be a relatively high-scoring game. I think DTR with the Browns is going to be a very interesting watch. Sam Howell, Jacoby Brissett, I think they'll put up points. I think it's going to be a pretty high-scoring affair. I can't wait to watch this one. So go to chatsports.com/bet and use promo code CHAT125 to take advantage of that 125% deposit bonus today. And now let's get to the losers here, starting with third-round rookie center Ricky Stromberg, who's currently at the bottom of the depth chart when it comes to the center position. Now, the rookie center out of Arkansas, my thoughts on him coming out was he was like a 4th or 5th round center. I thought it was a bit of a reach to get him in the 3rd round. I think he's a little bit undersized. The play strength isn't necessarily there. He's not a fantastic athlete, but I really like the technique he plays with, and I love the effort that he plays with as well. That's what Ron Rivera really liked about him as well. And, with this offensive line this year, with the talent being not so great heading into the year, I was hoping that Stromberg would really make a statement in training camp to say, I'm going to be the starting center of this team. And then maybe they'd move Nick Gates over to left guard or something like that. But that just hasn't happened as of yet. Right now he's listed as the number 3 center, not even the number 2 center. Tyler Larson is the first guy off the bench at the position right now. And I guess I'm just saying that I wish we've been hearing more good things about Stromberg here in the early part of the preseason. Then we get to newly acquired wide receiver this year, Marcus Kemp, coming over from the Kansas City Chiefs following his old offensive coordinator, Eric Bieniemy, here to the nation's capital. And I thought that the Commanders might have him a little bit higher on the depth chart to start because of the size. Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel, even Dyami Brown. These guys are not the tallest wide receivers in the world, right? They're not the biggest guys. So having a guy with true size in Marcus Kemp, who's 6'4", 210 pounds, I thought was something that this team might really prioritize, but he is lower on the depth chart right now. You got Byron Pringle and Dax Milne above Marcus Kemp on the depth chart right now, so it seems like he has been a loser to this point in training camp. Now, if you're excited for Friday's game versus the Browns, just like I am, if you're excited to see some Commanders football for the first time in months, do me a favor, click that thumbs up icon and like today's video. We can see every single one of you guys that like this video. We see it in our analytics. So we might be calling out some Browns fans on tomorrow's show if you guys aren't lucky. All right, now let's get into my third training camp loser right now, which is Mitchell Tinsley, Penn State wide receiver, who I had some pretty lofty expectations coming into training camp. I compare his game to Kendrick Bourne, who isn't like a star wide receiver for the New England Patriots, but he's a pretty darn good one. He is a solid wide receiver, good route runner, good speed, all these different things, good after the catch. All those things I saw on Mitchell Tinsley's tape there at Penn State. I think that if he gets an opportunity, he could really show some people what he can do. Hopefully he can really make some nice splash plays versus Cleveland this week and throughout the preseason, because I think the Commanders have something here in this kid, and it's a little bit disappointing because right now he is buried on the Commanders wide receiver depth chart. And then my final loser here, and I think this is probably the biggest loser of training camp, the preseason so far, and that's undrafted free agent special teamer Kazmeir Allen, who really came in here to be a special team specialist, a punt return player. And right now he is listed as not even the second, but the fourth string punt returner, right? He's the third backup. Right, we're probably not even going to see him until the fourth quarter. He might play a couple reps at wide receiver, maybe even play a little bit of running back. But I really wanted to see what Kazmeir was going to do as a punt return. It just doesn't seem like that opportunity is going to be there for him. And I think the reason why that is he just hasn't been overly that impressive throughout OTAs, minicamp. We were hearing some good things about Kazmeir, which surprised me a little bit when we got that unofficial depth chart the other day. But I look at a guy like Kazmeir, and, if you're a fourth-string punt returner at this point and you're buried on the wide receiver depth chart, you're probably not going to end up making the 53-man roster. And, of course, that Washington Commanders preseason game is on Friday. We're going to have coverage for that game on Friday after the game, post-game reactions, takeaways, winners and losers, you name it. We're going to have it for you guys. So make sure you click that subscribe button, turn on your notifications so you never miss another bit of Commanders news this preseason.